what's occurring here, Dan. I think you're missing some bolts there, dude. Stick an injector in it or something. Well, it's running.
So this is just a quick one to everyone who is following the third round of Wilf build, and it all seems to be going quite smoothly over at Andy Hadley's garage, Hadley Services. Get a look at this. You know what they say, it's not a Land Rover if it's not leaking.
You will. Fuck you, Will. I seem to have found a little problem, Dan. Let me just show you. The near side spring seat's not attached anymore, my friend.
Can I say the words? There's your problem, lady.
Yeah, it's fucked. So we're going to work on and get it fixed. So, as you can see, got a little bit of a problem. I've kind of straightened it out as best I can. I've then done some CAD work and yeah, cardboard aided design, CAD work, made a template, then used a plasma cutter to cut that out, and then I folded it up on the folder. Okay, it's not quite right shape fitting yet, there's a bit of fettling to do, but yeah, the joys of Land Rover ownership.
Hello guys, how's it going? Down to Tourist Dave. I'm at Hadley Services again, and unfortunately off camera I've took receipt of the new and improved, fuck you Wilfred, the 110. Yeah, so he's back, he's working, he's in running, working order. Hasn't been run, the engine hasn't been run for like 4 years. I mean, obviously he's had it running, he's timed it up and what have you, and whatever. So there's still some odds and sods and some little bits of fettling to do. But, as you can see from behind me, Wilf is up and running. And he's sounding good. Here's some. A bit of a knock on the go. That just might be tappets. But we are gonna go and see Neil Ensor, the 200 TDI, or the TDI guru, and see if he can work his little magic and just get it running just right. We're just going to quickly, I'm in Wilf, I took him for a run, he's banging, having it, brilliant. So I'm just going to ask Andy just to briefly describe what he's done in the battery box to begin with. Hold on a sec.
Alright guys, right, so this was kind of a budget installation, but it's still practical and it still works. So we've reused the main leisure battery, which is this one here that Dan supplied.
That's come from Kevin and Sheila. Thank you very much, guys, Kevin and Sheila.
We've reused the main start battery that Dan brought as well. He also supplied us a Durite, I think it's a 120 or a 150, I can't remember exactly, 140 amp split charger voltage sensing relay. So they're quite a nice easy fit. Positive and 2 positives and an earth, and then it automatically works out when it hits the voltage on your alternator. It automatically starts charging your leisure battery. Nice and simple. We've also then fitted the switch panel with the potted fuses, potted relays from Forby, and the main part of that is in the engine bay, and then you've got the switch panel up here. That does all the extras which come off the engine battery. So that's your 2 sets of high beam driving lights, and there was something else, and a fan, that's it, his electric fan, and that's all controlled from that panel up there. And then what I've done is I've put a split load 6-way dedicated fuse board in for the leisure side, and that then at the moment does the light in the back, which is a nice retro one, and then we've got the night heater, which currently Dan sat underneath.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see it, but
yeah, so we've pulled a wire in,
it's down here,
and basically trimmed all that in, put the fuel pump on the outside, put the cold air drawer for the night heater back inside so it's not sucking a load of water in, and that's about it really for there. We've pulled a lot of other stuff out, and just generally tidied it up.
Jim went to Oswald Street to buy it. The guy that I bought it off, really sound guy, he bought it for a conversion for a series, I think it was a series 2, and so it'd been sat for like 4 years. Went up and got it, really got the sound guy, brought it down, left it with you.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened then.
So we prepped it, gave it a good check over, turned it over, got compression, great, dropped any waste oil out of it, changed the cam belt, changed the water pump. We then, pretty much that was ready before we pulled the old engine.
Yeah.
So we then got Wilf in, into the workshop, pulled the old engine out, stripped off the parts that we were going to reuse, which were the LOF heavy duty clutch, boost pin and ring, boost controller, and a few other bits and pieces.
One of the things that I remember about this engine was that it came with literally everything, even down to, if you look now here, the wiring, then if you come in, you look, the wiring had all this plastic shrouding around it, so it was well looked after, and the guy obviously had kept it in a corner. It had like a glove covering the holes.
Yes, it was really nicely
yeah.
taken out of the donor vehicle, wherever they got that from.
Yeah.
One thing, when I spoke to Dan about it, I did say that the best thing I can do for this is to maintain this, and then all I did is I modified the wiring at the ends on the Discovery loom to fit into the 19J original loom, so it's pinned and it's done. I've soldered and heat shrunk all the joints and done a really nice job of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that it still looks original, but it's right.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Then we come to the point where we were ready to sort of start him up.
Yeah, so it had new oil, new filters, coolant, fuel pipes all done, oil pipes all done, little modification here because of slight differences with the oil filter housing.
Yeah.
She fired up, not too bad. I was quite happy with it, but she was a little bit lumpy. I thought, well, it hasn't run for 4 years, so we'll just give it a chance.
Yeah.
And all seemed well. So carried on doing some other stuff and just turned it off and just carried on. But the next time I fired it up, good old Wilf left us a nice little dripping present of diesel coming from the spindle just here. And the only thing I can put it down to is the fact that she'd been parked up, stored for 4 years.
Yeah.
So it was a case of, well, 'tis what it is. So that is actually your old injector pump off your old engine that so I didn't have to disturb the timing cover because I've got the special tooling from Forby to remove the injector pump without disturbing the cam belt.
Brilliant. Which is a job that had already been done once.
Yeah.
And we do know that Wilf likes us to do everything twice.
Yeah.
So that was a nice hack, really, a nice workaround, so to speak. I noticed that we've got the 4B breathers on, so you can see that that's to the crankcase cover, and there's the manifold. So that comes from where, Andy?
That comes from Forby. Great bit of kit, really nicely made. I fitted loads of them and I keep them in stock because I really like the product.
Yeah, brilliant. And that covers me for the axles, for the engine, literally.
Yeah.
We can submerge this vehicle now.
So yeah, you've got 8 BSP tapping points on both your transfer box, your gearbox, your front and rear differentials, and also the timing cover here. And all of them have got swivel banjos in with 6mm pipe running off up to your breather point there.
Perfect. And which leads us on nicely to the snorkel. So how does he breathe now? Because beforehand he was struggling. I had a Coronair filter.
Yeah.
It was about this big.
Yeah, it was about half the size of a 300-200 TDI air filter.
Yeah.
Was fairly corroded and just a little bit worn out. So it's now got. So what I've managed to do is it's got the standard 200 TDI turbo intake flexi pipe, but then I've had to put an elbow on it. This is a 200 TDI Defender air filter housing with a 19J modified bracket. This is the obviously it comes from your breather from the top, but that's a little bit different. This is all from Creation Motorsport, the silicone hoses and bits and pieces, and the bits of this bit of aluminium here. Because Dan particularly wanted to maintain the fact that this new engine had got a viscous fan on it.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's keep with that. What I did though is I clocked this in now. Basically, clocking is this pipe should have been coming out here, and what was happening is this pipe here was under here and pushing this intercooler pipe over, causing a restriction. So I've clocked this in, found some bits of pipe kicking around and made it nice. And then you've got a little bit more stainless steel here, a nice little bracket to stop it moving around, relocated your power steering pump, reservoir, with a custom bracket down, modified original bracket but custom. And then you've got a one-off custom made through wing top. Now this particular Defender doesn't have the standard wing vents on either side, so this was the only option.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's a standard top, so if anything ever gets damaged on there, that can be replaced in future, but good luck if you damage that.
Well, that's the bespoke part of the vehicle,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and I think actually it is really in keeping.
Well, thank you, Dan.
I think you've done a top job there with that.
Problems with this extra air intake is the fact that the bonnet prop, which was from here to here, has got the old-fashioned kick over, and of course, because this is in the way, you can't have that. So luckily Dan's bonnet has already got the bracket, so I knocked up an extra bonnet prop and just put a little tool clip on there, which is the only one I had in stock, but it works. Might want a cable tie around it just to hold it, but it wants the bigger version. But it's got a custom-made bonnet prop. So that is now, you've got a Performance Terra Firma foam air filter, which means you can clean it by hand at home, which means it will save you money in the long run. And they're actually better than standard.
Awesome. So there's the air filter done. What about this thing here?
So that is your, basically that is what is the other half of the controller that's inside.
Right.
And that is a potted relay and fuse board. Really nice product from Forby, and what it does is you can basically bring both your positive and negative of your extra item, whether it be lights, whether it be a fan, straight into there. You've got positive and negative terminals in there, and then you can control whatever you need to from inside the cab. It works on like a canvas type system, so it's very simple, easy to use, and for the people that, you know, might not know a lot about electrics but know enough to get by, this is the ideal solution because it means you can add later. Now I've kind of done a little bit of an alteration, because if you notice there's two little relays there. So by law as an MOT, you can't have the driving lights, whether it be these ones up here or those ones down there, on a flash without having a kill switch. So what I've done is, when you have the panel on and you have the two switches on for your lights, those relays will activate and allow you to flash with your extra lights or drive. But as soon as you dip beam, it will turn off, or you isolate. And that's the MOT way of doing it.
No, brilliant. That keeps it all conforming with MOT. Now, what you may know or you may not know is next year Wilf is MOT free. So because it's an historic vehicle, so it's not necessary. However, I've still got to maintain him to a roadworthy condition. So even though I don't have to take him in, the expectation is that I maintain him to that same level. And in reality, people who have historic vehicles like Wilf are going to look after their vehicles, and you know they're going to be in pretty much better order than the average sort of 15-year-old vehicle.
Well,
on the road.
just as a bit of a personal thing here, and it may happen, is your insurance companies who you're insured through, although the government say that you don't need an MOT, it may be the insurance company that you're with may insist you having an MOT. I know that's quite happens with recovery businesses, with the recovery trucks.
Yeah. So it's definitely something to just bear in mind. Whilst a lot of people will think, yeah, you don't have to take it for an MOT or whatever. Never mind anything else. It's you're a danger on the road.
Well, the
heaven
other
forbid.
points as well. It never hurts to have a second pair of eyes look over your vehicle.
Absolutely. We're all human.
Exactly. We all make mistakes. That's it.
So, moving on quickly, we've changed the master cylinder.
Yeah.
And because I've got a bit of a drip from my pedal.
Well, I'm glad it was from your pedal.
And then we've got some, some of that heat reflectant, sound deadening stuff on as well, just to help with the noise levels in the cab. Because anyone who's got a 110 or an older Land Rover, even the Defenders, they are horrendously loud inside.
Yeah.
And having a conversation is not really.
No, you have to go. You have to put a lot of heat, sound deadening in there to sort of negate that.
Yeah.
One thing you also asked me to do was the slave flexi.
Oh yes.
So while the engine was out, it was perfect opportunity to change the slave flexi. So we did that.
Yeah.
Because I could stand in the engine bay, and if you've seen from the pictures that, yes, that's one of the jobs I was doing. And it made life a lot easier to wire up as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, aside from that in the engine bay, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it.
There are these couple of little extra relays and fuses up here that I've
Yeah.
added.
Oh yeah, what's that about?
So, a lot of people know in the Land Rover world that your headlights are notoriously like candles. And a lot of that is down to the wiring in the wings, the fuse boards, and the distance they have to run because of the volt drop. Now, there's a company out there, for the life of me I can't remember who it is, that do a similar thing to what I've done, which is basically you take triggers from the wiring, run them up to relays, and then that power comes directly off the starter motor. So then you're getting a proper 12 volts,
Yeah.
or up to 14 volts when you're running, which means you get decent headlights again.
Yeah.
I mean, even with these, which are not crystals,
Yeah.
they are massively brighter.
Yeah, 100%, yes.
I mean, they're nearly as bright as the LEDs that we fitted for you.
Yeah. And like, I've held off from getting the headlamp conversion just because I like that yellow light
Yeah.
that you get from a bulb kind of thing. I prefer that. But I mean, that's not to say in the future it won't change. But for now, I'm happy with that look.
Well, if you wanted to maintain it, what you can do is you can put the white pack crystals in, which are more of a clear lens, and maintain your H4 bulbs.
Right, yeah.
And that way you're still maintaining what you want, and you will get a better beam pattern out of it as well.
So you're almost getting the best of both worlds then. Isn't it?
Yeah, well, it satisfies both your need for decent light, but it also gives you that sort of bulb look still without going down the LED route.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, there are a lot of not so nice looking LED kits out there.
So we've got the battery boxes done, the diesel heaters in and working, the engine's in and working,
Diesel leaks fixed
the
as well.
diesel leak is fixed. What else? The brakes should be better now as well.
Actually, you speaking about brakes,
Yeah.
I think I might know why your brakes were a little bit not so great. Because there wasn't actually a clip on the end of the servo pipe here. So you might have had a bit of a weep.
Yeah.
So I put a clip on there.
All these little jobs, isn't it? And yeah, so you know, and it took a while, but that was because I wasn't in any rush for the vehicle back. I didn't need it back straight away. You're extremely busy. I mean, you can hear tools going on in the background. That's Andy's mate. He's working in the Hadley services behind you. Whilst as you can see, it's night time on
Christmas Eve.
the eve of Christmas Eve. And he's in work tomorrow as well. He's a busy man because he's good at what he does. So I highly recommend him. If you follow the vehicle, you'll know from the next coming months, you'll see the difference in the vehicle. And the difference from tonight to tomorrow will be huge as well, because you'll have a good run home. You know, we're in Southam. And we've got to get back to Birmingham, so he'll have a good run, and then he'll be better again, and hopefully I'm not going to thrape him, you know, we're going to nurse him back and ease him into life. As I said, you know, I'll nip over to Neil's as well, and we'll do a bit of fettling. Neil will work his little 200 TDI magic, I'm hoping. And that'll just clean him up a little bit. It'll be good to do little videos just for everybody else's information as well. But yeah, so yeah, thanks very much, Ant. Nice one.
No worries, mate.
Hadley Services.